Welcome to episode 145 of the quest lore series Lunar Diplomacy. To start this quest you must have completed Rune Mysteries, Lost City, Druidic Ritual, Jungle Potion, Shiloh Village and the Fremenic Trials. You speak to Lokar Sea Runner. He was a young man when he ran away from Relica to become a pirate. The rest of his crew are going to Lunar Isle, where the Moon Clan live. They're Relica's biggest rival, having been at war for hundreds of years. He offers you a trip to the Lunar Isles. First you get a seal of passage from Brunt the Chieftain. You make it to the Pirate's Cove, climbing up the ladders and finding Captain Bentley of the Lady Zay. The people on Lunar Isle are magicians who can read minds. As soon as they sense any intention of wrongdoing, they can become aggressive towards you. Captain Bentley and his crew stole the ship one night from a Karamjan shipyard. This could be a reference to the Grand Tree and Monkey Madness 1 quests. When you depart for Lunar Isle, you somehow sail back to the Pirate's Cove. You talk to Birdseye Jack to see if he had the right directions, although he doesn't seem to think that he made a mistake. He instead thinks it must have been the magic from the Lunar Isle that put the ship off course, as the directions have never failed him before. The captain also thinks that the trip could have been jinxed somehow, so you talk to Eagle Eye Schultz at the very front of the ship. He explains what a jinx is. Then you talk to the cabin boy to find out who on the crew might have offended someone of the Moon Clan. He seems a bit suspicious. You then talk to Beefy Burns at the bottom of the ship. The last time that the crew visited the Lunar Isles, they were invited to a feast, and he suspects that might be when the Moon Clan were offended. You then talk to Lecherous Lee at the top of the ship. The only person who slipped away from the feast was the first mate. You talk to first mate Davy Boy. When he left the feast, all he did was inspect that the rigging was secure before the ship was docked securely for the night in case a storm blew up. He also reveals that the cabin boy wasn't at the feast at all. The cabin boy explains that on the night, a girl from the island told him to draw 5 symbols throughout the ship. This is the magic jinx. You light the emerald lantern and use it on the cannon, finding some symbols which you rub out. You also use it on the wall chart, finding another symbol which you rub away. On the lowest level of the ship, near the chest, you find a 3rd symbol, and just north of Beefy Burns on the support pillar you find a 4th symbol, and lastly on the crate here you find a 5th and final symbol. This removes the jinx. You finally make it to the Moon Clan Island. You walk into the city and a cutscene plays. Then you talk to the Oneiromancer by the Astral Altar. To bridge the gap between the Fremenics and the people of the Lunar Isles, she suggests that you go through the ritual called View of Self-Dream. All the people on the island go through it, and it helps them to understand magic through understanding themselves. A few items are needed, and she suggests you start by talking with Baba Yaga in the chicken house, who can help you make the potion. 1 guam leaf, 1 marantal leaf, and a sukar tooth, ground using a pestle and mortar, are combined with a special vial she hands you. The Oneiromancer holds on to the waking sleep potion for safekeeping. Next you need to take a Draymond staff to the air, fire, water and earth altars to imbue it, and convert it into a lunar staff. Once again she holds on to it for safekeeping. In the northwestern section of the island you enter the mine and mine the stalagmite for lunar ore. You then melt this and smith it into a lunar helmet. Then you speak to Pauline Polaris in the northwestern section of the city. You guess her real name, which is Jane Blood Magic Maid, and she gives you the lunar cape. In the south of the city you talk to Meteora, who's had her special tiara taken away by Asuka. You fight these creatures until you get the special tiara, and she gives you the lunar amulet. South of the bank you talk to Rime Sir Salis, and she can tan the Suka hides for 100 coins, which you'll then be able to craft into equipment. You make the lunar torso, trousers, gloves and boots. In the center of the city you talk to Celine. Her grandfather may have buried the lunar ring before he passed away. She has fond memories of going on treasure hunts with him. He left her this clue. From water source you should follow, crossing the westernmost bridge and travelling further southwest, lead to a bloom of blue. On the most southwestern part of the island, you dig on top of some blue flowers and find the lunar ring, completing the 8-piece set. You give the last items to the Oneiromancer and she gives you some magic kindling from the first magic tree that ever grew, plus all the other items back. You use the waking sleep vial on the kindling to soak it, and you enter the house with a large ceremonial brazier, which you light and then add kindling to, making you enter a waking dream state. Here you see the ethereal man. In this strange place you have to complete 6 different challenges. You step on the southwestern yellow platform and it springs you onto the game of chance. The ethereal fluke says a number out loud, and then you have to get the dice into that number. All the dice have 2 options which sum up to 7. Once you complete this section, you are magically transported back to the center. You talk to the ethereal man again and interpret the wisdom of that challenge. Next you step onto the purple platform and you talk to the ethereal numerator. He says some numbers and then you've got to guess the next 2 in the sequence. Complete, you interpret the wisdom again. Next you chop 20 logs quicker than the ethereal perceptive. Then you make the correct path across the platform and talk to the ethereal guide. Then you mimic the emotes of the ethereal mimic. Then you raise the ethereal expert. And reflecting on the last bits of knowledge obtained to the ethereal man, you've learnt 6 core lessons. Make sense of others to understand yourself. You must be able to relate to others. You must use your abilities to progress. You must be aware of your past and present to help you in the future. You must harness your confidence. And you must accept the unknown. On the final island, you have to defeat yourself. Once you do, you read about your life story on the lectern, returning to the Lunar Isle, where you awaken from the dream, and you return to the Oneiromancer. Seeing how well an outsider was able to go through the lunar trial, she is more willing to consider peace with the people of Relica. You now have access to the lunar spells and the ability to craft astral runes. Completing this quest is a requirement for Dream Mentor and the Fremenic Exiles. Join me next time where I'll explain the lore behind the Fremenic Isles.